What's poppin', y'all? We're going to talk about a very interesting argument that I like least, and I find the most hypocritical that many people are starting to levy upon rappers like Pusha T more recently and like Kendrick Lamar in the past year. And this clip is an Akademiks clip where he was on IG Live, and he decides to, I was a little bit surprised that he in particular decided to use the arguments that he's going to use, but let me just play you guys clip by clip and then we can break it down, because I really don't think it makes sense if we look at who Akademiks listens to, who he likes, and a couple of other things.
I'll talk about this more when I get back on stream. Pusha T is the exact thing I'm talking about. And it's not him as a person, it's how he's marketing this project and marketing things. It's the same with Kendrick. They're marketing their movement as being anti other things. We don't see, like, we're not seeing, like, of course Drake is on his, I'm on my revenge. But we don't see, like, Pusha T did 10 interviews where he's just talking about bare men. Like, yo, yeah, he's a nigga. Him, he's this. And it's like, dog, there's no way you saved all these thoughts in your head to come do a whole interview rollout to tell us who you didn't like.
This gives crazy Dame Dash energy, because it turns into the whole like, yo, why are you talking about other men? Like, you got another man's name in your mouth. Number one, all of these people are somebody who Pusha T has direct dealings with. So you could, if you wanted to use this argument against Kendrick Lamar, you could, and I allow people to use that argument all the time where they're like, yo, Kendrick Lamar is just a straight up hater. Frankly, I think Kendrick Lamar is a straight up hater when it comes to Drake, and that's fine. However, with Pusha T, it's a little bit different. Like, for example, if Kendrick Lamar was dissing Top Dog, or he was dissing TDE, or he was dissing Taylor Swift, or he was dissing, well, he's not going to diss Baby Keem, that's family. But if he's dissing somebody that he had business dealings with, or someone that he was a frequent collaborator of, or worked with in some capacity and felt close to, that is completely different from just going at Drake, who, you did a song with him and he did help you out, but that was like over 10 years ago. Pusha T, all of this stuff is new. It's all relevant. He's talking about it in the music. And on top of that, this is like, we're getting answers that we all wanted. Like, let's not pretend we don't want to know why, or that's what people are trying to do. They're trying to pretend like they don't want to know why Pusha T doesn't mess with Ye anymore, or what's the deal with Ye and Pusha T after Good Music was a thing for so long, and then Good Music just shut down, and you were president of Good Music for a while, and you signed Designer and brought him to Ye, and that turned into one of the biggest songs on the life of Pablo. You also signed 070 Shake, who had a show out of a performance in not the Donda sessions, the Ye sessions in Wyoming, and Pusha T was a part of those. So we all want to know what's happening, and he was going to get asked about Ye regardless by every single interview. And if Pusha T just said, oh yeah, I don't really want to talk about that, you're going to criticize Pusha T and say, man, this guy doesn't want to talk about stuff. It's like every other rapper, but he does that, and then it's a criticism. And this is the thing too, Akademiks messes with YoungBoy. Akademiks messes with Dirk. Are we gonna pretend like Dirk didn't do a full-on album rollout that was just about dissing YoungBoy? Like, come on now. Like, why are we applying these rules to other people? Or why are we applying these? Let's just say I don't like Pusha T and I don't want him to win. That's really all there is to it, because the idea, and keep in mind, Akademiks went at Drake recently, and the lawsuit situation, he says he loves diss rap. He loves rappers dissing. He loves, killer music. Pusha T isn't killer music, but Pusha T's bringing that type of energy that you claim to want, that you went against Drake for suing about, because if Drake ends up winning this lawsuit, then a lot of these other diss songs, they're going to have to get combed through, and, a lot of other lawsuits might come up. So you're defending this, but in the case of Pusha T, it's like, yo, this is lame. You're doing too much. Huh? This next clip is even funnier.
Like, I wish his rollout was a little bit more of, yo, this is what my life has been. Come tap in with me. And this is why I said the hater energy. It's like, bro, that's not hate. You decided to roll out a whole album telling us the niggas you hate. Come on, bro. Like, come on, dog. Like, you're not even telling us about your life. You're like, yo, let me tell you about these things I don't like. I'm like, and that's what I was saying about the Kendrick things. Like, I felt he took the time to tell us who wasn't like him or how much he didn't like another guy, more than gather people to appreciate him for what he does. And obviously.
So we're going to talk about not like talking about what you got going on. That's exactly what Pusha T's got going on. He had a situation with Travis Scott. While he was recording this album, Travis Scott pulled up on them. And then Travis Scott, he felt like Travis Scott snaked them, but Pharrell in this case. Of course, you're going to talk about that. And once you talk about it the first time, everyone's going to ask you about that. And Pusha T answered a ton of other questions in these interviews that's just not going to go viral because him talking about Drake or Ye, and he hasn't really talked about Drake much. He's kind of just sidestepped that whole thing. And wouldn't talking about, and this is where I think the argument falls apart, wouldn't talking about Drake get him the most attention since Drake just got destroyed by Kendrick Lamar and Drake is the biggest rapper and people want to see Drake lose now. So with the logic of, it's easy to promote just by knocking somebody down, then Pusha T should be talking about Drake. But he's not, because Drake hasn't been in his view for years now. Of course, they don't mess with each other. They don't like each other. But the most recent things that have been happening in the midst of recording this album, and even before that, is the breakup with Ye, the split with Ye, the split with doing business with Ye, and the personal relationship with Ye, as well as what happened while they were recording the album at the Louis Vuitton headquarters in France or in Paris with Travis Scott. So that's what he's addressing. And Travis Scott and Ye are going to get less attention than Drake because there's a history between Drake and Pusha T. So I think Pusha T is just being fully authentic. And this is also another thing. Why are we suddenly, especially Akademiks, why are we suddenly pretending that there is this whole kumbaya energy that's always been going on within hip hop? It's always been beef. Like East Coast versus West Coast. Akademiks talks about Tupac being, I don't know, his favorite or one of his favorite rappers or hip hop artists of all time. Pac was beef. East Coast versus West Coast. He was rolling with Suge Knight. Suge Knight was beef. Diddy was beef. It was always, and there was promotion via beef. Same with Nas and Jay. Like there's always been beef. Like the whole idea of, I'm just talking about myself. It's like, what? And Kendrick Lamar has done that already. It just gets a significantly less attention. The majority of Kendrick Lamar's career has not been dissing. What do we have? We have Control, and then we have him going at Drake. And of course, there's subliminals here and there, but subliminals are always taken. The majority of Kendrick's catalog has only to do with him. And this next part, I think Akademiks is about to have a realization or about to say the truth, and then just pulls back to hit on his other point. So I'm going to play you guys that right now.
I'm just saying, look at Travis Scott. Has Travis Scott ever when Travis Scott's rolling out an album, it's about what he has going on. This is what I have going on. This is my stuff, right? Come into my world. Not, this other guy right here, I hate him. I hate the way he walks, he talks. I hate the woman he dates. Like, bro, like you're too obsessed with another person. He said Kendrick, I'll give you that with the Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but let's take that into consideration. When he does Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers and he talks about himself, he's not that interested. Everybody said that project came and went. When he's talking about his life, when Drake drops records, he's talking about his life and what he's gone through since he made the last album. Kendrick started telling us about like the transgendered people that's in his family, respectfully, and we were just like boring, like, you know what I mean? He's the most interested right now in full hater mode, which it goes to show maybe your story isn't that dynamic where everybody wants to be a part of it. And I think artists, I'm not saying, they can do whatever the fuck they want, but that has to be noted, though. It has to be noted. Like,
I think Travis Scott is one of the worst examples to use for this, because if you listen to Travis Scott, it sounds like he's got a bunch of nothing going on. It's like Travis Scott is the most substanceless, soulless rapper, popular artist that we've got. And this is saying this as somebody that really enjoys Travis Scott's music. Like, it's great, but to pretend that Travis Scott doesn't talk about anything in his music, not even this is what I have going on. No, he's just, hey, this is what the corporation has brought But I mean, it's like he's in the R&D department of the corporation. He's just not bringing out the old regular slop. Like I said, like Travis Scott, that song 4x4, even though that did quote unquote flop or whatever, I enjoyed that song. I thought it was great visuals. I thought it was a great song. I thought it should have performed better. It just didn't. Jack Boys 2, that's a little bit of a different story, but that's a topic for another day. So Travis Scott is a terrible example. And then he says Kendrick's story, and then people are like, yo, Mr. Morale did exactly what you're criticizing Kendrick of. And he's like, yeah, well, that didn't get as much attention though. Yeah, that's the point. And he's like, oh, that should teach you a lesson, because if you get the most attention when you're in hater mode, maybe your story isn't that interesting. That's like the biggest facepalm I ever had. Or how about this? Maybe when he's the most personal and he's telling the most about his story, it's not that his story's not interesting. It's that the majority of the audience and the public want to see beef. So if you want to be lit more than everybody else, you've got to beef with people. Like, for example, Drake, if you're talking sound, he's not taking sounds. Like, let's just take the subject material out of the way. Because the reason why Drake has all of these hits is not because of the subject matter. No, the subject matter is important. That's what makes people Drake fans. But it's the sound. And it's not the sound that Drake's got in his life. He's adopting whatever sounds are trending globally. Like, he hopped on that song Mia with Bad Bunny. I remember like 6 to 8 months before that, I dropped a video on it. I was like, yo, they're gonna put this guy on a song with Drake. And it ended up happening. It was obvious. You could tell. Drake picking up on UK drill. He was like, UK drill isn't in his life. Now, his lyrics, sure, but are we gonna pretend like you're not gonna say Travis Scott talks about what he's got going on and Drake talks about what he's got going on, and then compare people listening to Travis Scott to hear what he has to say or an update on his life or the subject matter? Not at all. It's the sound. So with Drake, he's adopting a ton of different sounds. That's what allows him to have a ton of hits. Kendrick Lamar, he's not necessarily adopting sounds. Even GNX, like that's a West Coast album. I wouldn't say pioneering is the right word, although he has pioneered throughout his career. But I would say that he's operating outside of the norm. And the biggest lesson here is that people want to see beef, Akademiks being one of them. He's always talking about like, yo, I love when these rappers are beefing. I love when there's smoke. You're not saying, yo, I love when this guy got really introspective on this track and he's talking about himself. That's never, I don't think those words have ever been uttered from Akademiks. So, or most people, to be fair. So applying these rules just to Pusha T and Kendrick Lamar, I just don't think Akademiks wants to admit that he doesn't like Kendrick Lamar's music. It's almost like he didn't want to admit that, like, for example, like Cardi started messing with him, and he didn't want to admit that he doesn't like Cardi's music. Now, maybe he likes music. I think he enjoys this new project. But Whole Lotta Red, Akademiks was not messing with no damn Whole Lotta Red. He probably played the clip where he got shouted out, but other than that, that guy wasn't listening to that. That ain't in his intros. That ain't in his anything. And his top lists. What's the other album that came out before that? Die Lit. Akademiks wasn't messing with no damn Die Lit. So he just doesn't mess with Pusha T. I'm getting in this scenario. Like, he never messed with Pusha T either. You never really saw him bumping Pusha T songs, even though there are a ton of great songs on It's Almost Dry that I think Akademiks would like. I don't even know if he listened to that project. So it's like trying to create these arguments that aren't there, that are hater arguments, because that's what he's trying to create. He's a hater of Kendrick Lamar and Pusha T in this scenario. And he's saying, I don't like the way that they market. And not that they should do this, but, you know, like they need to get clout off of this person and they need to create conflict because their story's not interesting enough. However, if a rapper like Dirk or someone else that I like or Youngboy is doing the same thing, that's cool and that's entertaining. Hey, dog, come on now. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Is it fair? Do you think that this argument, he's just hating? What's the case here? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see you on the next one.